This is Zambo and welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Bhutan. Our top stories this week. Nation cast votes for the general round election through postal ballot facilitation booths. OAG asked BNBL to restitute 25 million Newton for honouring forged blank and self-checks. And National Referral Hospital puts infection control measures in place for healthcare-associated infections. People across the country cast their votes through postal ballot facilitation booths for the general round elections. The facilitation booths were opened for 3 days, starting from
prevention
Wednesday.
and control practices among staff and attendants and environmental surveillance. The hospital explained cleaning the environment with substandard disinfectant, understaffing and less trained
in the
staff,
capital Thimphu,
overcrowding
hundreds
with
of people
visitors,
were seen lined
inadequate
up to cast their
infrastructure.
votes through the facilitation booths. Out of almost 440,000 registered voters in the country, a total of around 134,000 are registered as postal voters. From this, more than 102,000 voters have opted for facilitation booths. Thimphu alone has more than 35,000 people registered for this service, of which nearly 20,000 are female and around 15,400 are male voters.
We get to vote once in 5 years, so I feel it is important to cast our vote. Last time, during the primary round, it was crowded at the facilitation booths. This time, it's much easier as I didn't have to stay in queue for long. I was able to cast my vote within just 30 minutes.
I came to vote since it's important. In the morning, there were lots of voters lined up. Right now, there were just a few people and it was very convenient.
Most officials at the booth said there were less than expected voters turning up today and are hoping more number of voters come in the next 2 days. Facilitation booths stay open from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. and will remain open till Friday. The service was started this year with the aim to increase voter turnout. ECB is also operating mobile facilitation booths for prisoners and people with special needs. Choni Dama for BBS News.
His Royal Highness Prince Jigel Wangchuk has been appointed as a member of the International Olympic Committee. The announcement of the new members was made at the 133rd session of the International Olympic Committee held on Tuesday. As stated in the Olympic Charter, the members represent and promote the interest of the committee and of the Olympic movement in the countries and in the organizations of the Olympic movement in which they serve. His Royal Highness is His Majesty's representative and the President of Bhutan Olympic Committee and has worked closely with federations and athletes to promote sports in Bhutan. The Road Safety and Transport Authority will suspend driving licenses of 11 commercial drivers for a minimum of 6 months for testing positive for drugs. They are taxi drivers, truckers and meat van drivers. RSTA, in collaboration with Bhutan Narcotics Control Authority, conducted tests along several highways.
The drug test was conducted in 5 busiest highways of the country. Over 900 drivers were tested, of which 11 tested positive for drugs. They were required to provide their urine samples. The test detects about 10 different types of drugs, including marijuana, ketamine, cocaine, tramadol, and others. And the results were shown within 3 to 5 minutes after the test was done. The 11 drivers had been abused, mostly marijuana and SP+. The authority will hand over the drivers to BNCA for treatment or any other necessary actions.
Main reason why we conduct this kind of test is not to punish drivers, but to ensure safety. And if there's anyone who has habit of taking controlled substance, then we would like to help them to become like any other ordinary person.
And drivers welcomed the initiative.
Actually, there were rumors spread all over saying that taxi drivers are using drugs. This time, our program covered over 760 drivers, and out of which only 4 taxi drivers were tested positive. And that is indicative of not many taxi drivers are using drugs. I think it's also good news for people who avail taxi services and also for RSTA.
The licenses will be issued after a certificate from BNCA. However, even after treatment, if a person is found abusing drugs, RSTA will cancel the license. Pema Sring, BBS News.
Doctors have postponed the separation surgery for the first recorded Bhutanese conjoined twins Nyuma and Dawa. The operation was actually scheduled for Friday at the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, Australia. According to the hospital management, the twins need more nutrition. They are said to be low on vital nutrients and vitamins following various tests and scans last week. The Office of Attorney General has asked the Bhutan National Bank Limited to pay a restitution of 25 million ngitum to the Royal Insurance Corporation of Bhutan for honouring forged, blank and self-checks. This is in connection to the 140 million embezzlement case of Paro RACB branch, for which the cross-examinations are underway.
According to the OEG, 11 employees of BNBL, which include tellers and authorizers, have forged the checks and at times made payment to the main accused without verifying it. The checks also did not have the authorizer's signature. Despite such procedural lapses, the prosecutor said the released amounts were authorized in the system. The employees are charged of omission amounting to abuse of function. The bank's banking system experts said if the amount is more than 10,000 ngitum, the check has to be verified by the chief teller and authorized by an authorizer. This, they said, is reflected in the company's standard operating procedures or SOP. During the cross-examination yesterday, the accused tellers and authorizers said the BNBL management did not provide its employees with an SOP. They said there is a practice of making payment by the teller upon the request of the authorizer of chief teller when they are out of station. The imperfect checks the BNBL passed amounts to more than 25 million ngitum. The prosecutor said the restitution amount is to make the bank responsible and accountable. Despite many embezzlement cases reported in BNBL in the past, this is the first time the OEG has asked the bank to refund. The OEG said the alleged crime was committed between 2012 and 2015. It took the office almost a year and a half to review the embezzlement case, including the main accused. There are 22 individuals involved. For Sangi Chezum in Paro, Sherab Doji, BBS News.
Gedu police intercepted 3 men with over 5 million ngitum and nearly 200,000 rupees at Jumcha in Chuka last week. According to the sources, they are suspected to have smuggled 2 kilograms of gold and sold it in India. They also tested positive for drugs and possessed over 11 grams of hashish. According to the police, the suspects were intercepted during a routine inspection in the wake of upcoming National Assembly election. Dampu Central School in Sirang is relishing the benefits from the smart boards they installed in the classrooms last year. The new boards, they say, have improved academics at the school by making teaching and learning more interesting. A smart board is an interactive whiteboard with a large touch screen.
What do you mean by opening compound?
Classes at schools, especially after lunch, tend to become slow and lazy. But the situation is different at Dampu Central School. This is thanks to the smart boards the school installed in their classes. The teacher connects the board to the internet and uses technology to bring fun into teaching and learning. The school purchased and installed 3 smart boards on trial last year.
Actually, it is really improving our academics because when a smart board is there, our interest and focus will be mostly on the board, so that we'll focus what he does, what teacher does, what other students presenter does, so that our main focus is there on the board, so that we'll get what is done by the teacher, what is being presented there, and it is very much effective compared to green board.
If we use this smart board, we can have the precise measurement so that we can get precise answer. So even we can trace the accurate color, and we can even watch videos and clips related to the particular topic.
We can feel, we can touch, and we can play with our hands. It's similar like giving a hands-on activity. Not only regarding the PowerPoints and the showing of videos you can do with a simple projector, but here what we can do is, while presenting, we can give them important notes. Yes, this is the one. We can circle it on the board. We can use multicolors. We can use images. We can use videos. We can pause it. Anything you want, you can do with that board. And that gives the charm of smart board.
Principal Dawasring says this initiative is a borrowed idea from the top 5 schools in the world. Looking at its success, the school is planning to install more smart boards for the remaining classrooms as well.
Our students are already exposed to the technology. They have a smartphone, everything. And as a teacher, as a school, I feel that in order to foster the learning, better learning, there is need to have the technology coming in the classroom. So if the technology is there in the classroom, like a smart board, I'm sure that the learning will be better.
He added other schools have also been calling him, asking for suggestions and advices on using the smart boards. The school paid more than 80,000 Newton for each board. For Namgyongchuk in Sirang, Choni Dema for BBS News.
It's likely that the extended classroom of Atang Gewok in Wandifoda will be closed from the next academic session. The classroom at Lofoka does not meet the Education Ministry's standards to continue operating as an ECR.
Currently, the extended classroom has only 7 students. After the midterm examinations this year, 3 students dropped out of the facility.
After the midterm examinations, the children could not continue their studies because their parents migrated to Phobjikha to cultivate potatoes. The remaining students will be the last batch, as there are no other children in the community to be enrolled in pre-primary. The remaining students will be the last batch, as there are no other children in the community to be enrolled in pre-primary.
As per the national education policy, there should be at least 10 students enrolled for an extended classroom to operate.
We cannot afford to send our children to other schools, and we cannot keep them here if the school is closed. So poor people will remain poor with no access to education. We are all concerned.
According to the Deputy Chief District Education Officer, even if the facility shuts down, students studying there will be given the option to study either at a nearby boarding or central schools.
We do not know what will happen from the next session because by then a new government will be formed. But as per the education policy, ECRs with less than 10 students will have to be closed. The ministry has to send a teacher for just a few students, compromising the quality of education.
Athang Primary School was downgraded to an extended classroom in 2012. For Sangye Wangmu in Wangdifoda, Sunam Pem for BBS News.
Following the recent outbreak of healthcare-associated infections in the neonatal intensive care unit of the National Referral Hospital in Thimphu, its management has endorsed 7 short-term recommendations. Between 23rd July and 6th August this year, 9 babies died in the neonatal intensive care unit due to healthcare-associated infections.
The recommendations include the urgent need of infection control unit in the hospital, ensuring water stagnations and blockages of drainages are cleared immediately, having continuous supply of infection control materials, and strict crowd control measures. Going by a press release from the hospital's management, measures such as daily chlorination and regular monitoring of the water quality by the Royal Centre for Disease Control and restriction of visitors to all ICUs are already in place. They have also installed a 3-stage UV water filter in the neonatal ICU, strengthened monitoring and supervision on compliance of infection prevention and control practices among staff and attendants, and environmental surveillance. The hospital explained cleaning the environment with substandard disinfectant, understaffing and less trained staff, overcrowding with visitors, inadequate infrastructure and poor compliance of the parents in sterilizing feeding materials could have been some of the contributing factors which put babies at higher risk of infection. The other probable cause was water contamination in the hospital. As per the hospital records, the mothers of the deceased babies were referred from district hospitals due to pregnancy-related complications and had to undergo emergency cesarean section. The babies were born preterm and low birth weight of less than 2 kilograms, requiring admission in the neonatal ICU. For Pema Ring, Kilatem, PBS News.
Bangladesh becomes the first team to win the first edition of the SAF Under-18 Women's Championship. They defeated Team Nepal 1-0 in the finals played at the Changlemitang National Stadium on Sunday. Meanwhile, the host nation Bhutan succumbed to a defeat against the Indians and ended the tournament in the 4th place.
Following their first encounter in the opening match of the championship, the two sides met yet again. In their last meet, Bhutan suffered a 4-0 defeat from India. This time, the two sides played their last match of the tournament with a similar ambition, as both the teams looked forward to finish third in the championship. After finishing the first half all square with no goals from both the sides, it was Roy Devneta of India who broke the Bhutanese hearts. The only goal of the match for the Indian side was more than enough to defeat the host nation yet again.
Because this was a good match and then very tough. Indian team is a strong team. This has good experience for girls. Actually, we have the senior SAF match in December. Of course, we are preparing for this when we go back to Cardiff.
And in the main event of the championship, Team Nepal came face-to-face against the Bangladeshi Tigresses. Like Bhutan and India, the two sides had also met in the initial group matches of the competition. With their intentions clear, the two sides tried their best to open their accounts early but failed. Giving no chances at both the ends of the ground, the two teams displayed a strong hold to their defensive lines. This led to a goalless first half. However, the winning goal for the Bangladeshi Tigresses came early in the second half. Masura Parveen of Bangladesh headed in the only goal of the match from a set piece just 3 minutes in the second half. In a desperate attempt to equalize, the Nepalese girls gave all their best but failed to find the net. To their dismay, the final match at the Changlemitang National Stadium ended 1-0, making Bangladesh the champions of the competition. The first edition of the South Asian Football Federation Under-18 Women's Championship saw 6 South Asian countries. This is Pasandoji for BBS News.
Well, that's all we have for you this week. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.